With me now is Labor Secretary Hilda Solis. She's joining us from Washington with the government's take on the jobs report. And this is a really big miss here. You know, economists had expected 100,000 or more jobs created, Secretary Solis. So what is going on here?
Well, I'm disappointed too, Betty, but I have to, like anything else, report what the facts are. And when you look at where we started, and we like to remind people that the president inherited much of what has occurred, and we lost 8 million jobs to begin with. Slowly, though, in the last 16 months, we've added 2.1 million jobs. The private sector, we did add 18,000 this time around. I will continue to say that it's a slow process, but it's a recovery that is very stubborn. That's why the president, we believe, has to work very closely with the Congress, and we have to get some of these issues resolved, like more money for infrastructure, for transportation, also more investments, payroll tax, relief for taxpayers and things like that that are going to help to spur the economy. All you have to do is look back at what happened in January and February, where a lot of those policies came into play and they really helped to beef up job creation. So we need to keep on that trajectory and working together with the Congress. That's why it's so important this weekend for the president to meet with the leadership and understand that this is a problem that can't be resolved just by one segment of our society. It has to be placed squarely on everybody's shoulders and not just the most vulnerable population. So the people who drive the engine of growth, small businesses, large businesses, those corporations that have been sitting on a lot of capital, need to think seriously of where we're going and how important it is to get some of these issues resolved. We want to get people back to work, and that's our #1 priority.
Right, but and I had Warren Buffett here on my program, and what he is saying is that companies will hire when there is demand, but unfortunately there is just no demand out there at all. That's really the problem.
I think part of it, Betty, is confidence level. I think people are waiting to see what's going to happen here in Washington, D.C. And the president, as you know, had a very fruitful meeting yesterday with both leaders of both parties. And they're going to continue to talk on resolving some of these issues. The debt ceiling is one. On Sunday, I hope that we can see more of that happen. I mean, what happened in December, making sure that we could come together and provide tax breaks and credits for vulnerable populations, for working class people, payroll tax, and also tax credit investments for businesses. All those are good things. The infrastructure transportation investment bank would help, also immediately help to provide that infusion of capital to help build up construction projects in transportation.
Right, but Secretary Solis, I mean, the thing is that if there is any agreement that's going to be made on, on the deficit, that's not going to be positive for jobs. That's actually going to take stimulus away from creating jobs.
Well, I think what we need to do is look at things that are happening in terms of the bigger picture. We know that what we don't want to do is continue to see just cuts that affect every sector. We don't want to hurt the economic recovery. We want to make sure that those investments that are made really do pay off. And I can tell you, just by my visit this week alone, I was in Flint, Michigan, and we visited a former factory plant that closed down that is now providing jobs in the pharmaceutical area in Flint, Michigan. These are the kinds of investments that have been happening now for the past 2 years, and they have paid off. And in fact, what we've seen is private sector jobs are growing. Let me just remind folks that when President Bush was in office, he only created on an average, about 11,000 jobs per month in the 8 years. This president, in 2.5 years, we've seen at least we're putting back jobs, and 2.1 million jobs have been created. And this job report isn't where it needs to be. It needs to be better. It does.
Okay. Secretary Solis, we're going to have to leave it there, but I appreciate you joining me on this. Secretary Solis, the Labor Secretary, on the jobs report.